This week we focus on the efforts by peace ambassadors in the continent. It seems their work is evident. From the Sahel to the Horn of Africa and now in Central Africa, guns are being lowered and warring parties are giving dialogue a chance. But how long will the harmony prevail? We will talk more about that on World of Africa with me, Erik Njoka. Welcome to the program. The show starts right now. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has extended a quarantine placed on 2 districts that are at the epicenter of the country's Ebola outbreak by 21 days. Museveni asserts that his government's response to the disease is succeeding. Movement into and out of Mubende and Kasanda districts in central Uganda will be restricted up to December 17. It was originally imposed for 21 days on October 15, then extended for the same period on November 5th. The East African nation has so far recorded 141 infections. 55 people have died since the outbreak of the deadly hemorrhagic fever was declared on September 20th. The Democratic Republic of Congo says it will hold presidential and parliamentary elections on December 20th, 2023, kicking off a year of complex preparations in the vast Central African country, large parts of which are overrun by militia violence. And the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court says he wants to launch proceedings against fugitive Ugandan warlord Joseph Kony in his absence. Prosecutor Karim Khan says he had requested authorities to hold a hearing on the confirmation of charges against Kony, who is ICC's longest standing suspect at large. An arrest warrant against Kony, the founder and leader of the Lord's Resistance Army, or the LRA, was issued in 2005 for 33 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. The Tutsi-led M23 group has been waging its most serious offensive in eastern Congo since 2012, further destabilizing an area where armed groups have wrangled over land and resources for decades. The resurgence in fighting has caused a diplomatic rift with neighboring Rwanda, which Congo accuses of backing the rebels. Rwanda has, however, denied this. A mediation team met in Angola and agreed on a cessation of hostilities accord. However, the agreement has been rejected by some people in the DRC. What is the real problem in this part of the continent? Let's find out in this World of Africa special report.
Chaos, pandemonium, fear. This was the best way to describe the horror that those fleeing the gunfire were witnessing in Goma. The key eastern city was turned into a battlefield as fighting between the Democratic Republic of Congo's army and M23 rebels ensued. Clashes picked up again in North Kivu province and have been recurring since the group launched their latest offensive on the 20th of October. The fighting has reignited diplomatic tensions between Congo and neighboring Rwanda. Congo accuses Rwanda of backing the group. Rwanda denies the accusation.
The war imposed on us by our neighbors demands sacrifices from all of us.
This has exposed neighboring states, notably Rwanda, to cross-border attacks that are entirely preventable. There is an urgent need to find the political will to finally address the root causes of instability in Eastern DRC. The blame game does not solve the problems.
The escalation of hostilities forced countries in the region to act. Kenya decided to deploy troops for a joint regional operation against a rebel offensive. Leaders of the 7-nation East African Community Bloc, in which Kenya is the regional heavyweight, agreed in April to establish a joint force to help restore security in the DRC.
As neighbors, with various interlinkages, the destiny of DRC is intertwined with ours. We all have a stake in a stable Democratic Republic of Congo, and its security is an obligation that we commit our best effort to achieve.
Then, in early November, the foreign ministers of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda arrived at the Angolan presidency to meet Angolan President João Lourenço, the mediator appointed by the African Union.
At the end of the discussions, the ministers agreed on the following: the maintenance of the dialogue and political consultation mechanism between the authorities of the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Rwanda as a way of resolving the political crisis between the two countries.
As that was happening in Luanda, Kenya's former president Uhuru Kenyatta, a mediator for the seven-nation East African community, was in Goma amid ongoing conflict. Kenyatta was trying to plead with the fighting parties to allow peaceful movement of people and return to their homes.
Tusikie huruma, tuache vita.
Let's have mercy on these people. Let's stop the war and start the dialogue. We cannot start with the dialogue and then stop the war. No, we have to stop the war first and then begin the dialogue.
Tuache vita.
Later in the month, African leaders gathered in Luanda to discuss ongoing conflict between the Congolese army and M23 rebel forces. At the end of the mini-summit in Luanda, representatives from the DRC, Rwanda and several other African states agreed on the cessation of hostilities in general and demanded the immediate withdrawal of M23 rebels from the occupied areas.
The mini-summit decided the following: the cessation of hostilities in general and in particular of M23 attacks on the FARDC and MONUSCO as of Friday, 25th November.
Just days after the agreement, hundreds marched in Democratic Republic of Congo's eastern city of Goma to protest against it, saying it does not tackle Rwanda's alleged backing of the group. Demonstrators, some on scooters, made their way through the city centre behind banners denouncing the international community's silence and ambiguity towards massacres organised via Rwanda.
For us, the people, these arrangements and summits do not interest us. What interests us is to have peace and security that is a right for us. We must not remain in this misery for decades. What we are asking for is the immediate withdrawal of the Rwandan army and the Ugandan army from Congolese soil.
The M23 have not directly commented on the summit, which both Congo and Rwanda took part in. Thousands have been displaced in recent weeks as Congo's army has struggled to stop the M23's advance. The warring parties are claiming to be open to talking, but seems are not willing to put their guns down just yet. The tranquility of this region remains in limbo. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
Nairobi's population has doubled over the last 20 years. As a result, new townships have sprung up, which are poorly planned. They often lack light, proper infrastructure and sanitation facilities. However, the Kenyan government has come up with an innovative solution. The country is building a smart city which will be designed to promote a sustainable lifestyle. More in this next report. With urbanization, Kenya's capital population has grown rapidly. In fact, it has doubled over the last 20 years. Due to such a high population density, buildings have been built very close to each other to accommodate the ballooning populace in Nairobi.
The building is quite big and we have to use the electricity throughout the day because we can't manage to do anything here without the lights. So when the power is out, we ought to turn on the generator because that's the immediate alternative that we have And we can't use the solar panel because the building here is much congested.
Many new satellite neighborhoods have sprawled around Nairobi due to overpopulation. That too with very little planning or regulation. As a result, many residents struggle to receive even a shred of natural light and have to rely on light bulbs most of the day. The sewage in these neighborhoods is also mismanaged. Rainwater is left to run down the streets, often causing floods and overwhelming the sewer lines.
Here where I live, there is a problem with light. Even if you open the window, it does not let the light in because of the congestion. There's a problem when it rains because we don't collect rainwater, we use borehole water, and there's a problem with sewage.
To overcome these problems, the Kenyan government is planning to build satellite cities from scratch. And this time around, they intend to keep environment in mind. One such project, called Konza Technopolis, is already under construction. The upcoming smart city will feature sustainable architectural designs that factor in rainwater collection and use solar power. It will spread over an area of 5,000 acres and will be developed in 4 phases, from residential homes and affordable student accommodation to commercial buildings and technology hubs. Developers say the smart city will cater to both ends of the market.
For ensuring that water is consumed adequately, we ensure that the buildings are designed with sensors in the flushing of toilets and also in the washing of hands. For this, we also encourage water harvesting, especially during rainy seasons. We have storage tanks under there so that you can pump them up and they can be used for flushing of toilets.
One major challenge that the engineers face is the sustainability of construction materials. The material used to build the city must be green with low embodied energy. The Technopolis has set aside green spaces and has adopted green building practices, which are aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions within the city and ensuring a clean environment. These include sustainable use of water, clean, efficient and renewable energy, clean sanitation and proper waste management.
There's a lot of timber that is used for shuttering, for use for construction of scaffolds. Our approach to ensure that it's sustainable, we have multiple use of a simple resource such as timber, so that rather than using it for a single use, it is reused for a different application, as mentioned.
According to the United Nations Environmental Programme, real estate accounts for up to 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions. But smart cities like Konza Technopolis can be a big step towards sustainable living. Neighborhoods planned from the outset to allow for energy efficiency, space and quality of life are very rare. But the Kenyan government says it wants to build more. Bureau Report, World of Africa. Rows of sprawling cacti fill a valley in Zelfen district in central Tunisia, where producers are hoping the spiky fruit can fuel a cosmetics cash-in. But can it bring wealth to the marginalized province of Kasserine? Let's find out in this next report.
These are workers getting right to business. It is something they are accustomed to and have been doing for years. So the prickly fruit does no harm to them. On the road to Zelfen in Tunisia, fields of the trees stretch as far as the eye can see. This plant, according to farmers, is a godsend for this deprived region, thanks to the anti-wrinkle oil that is extracted from it, which is very popular in cosmetics.
Prickly pear oil was not known before, but now more and more people are beginning to know and use it and are satisfied with it. It is a precious oil that has strong antioxidant effects because it is rich in vitamin E. It is used by people that are over 25 years to prevent wrinkles and even by older people to minimize the depth of their wrinkles.
About 30,000 hectares, including 3,000 hectares of organic fig trees, are cultivated in the small town bordering Algeria. The sector employs more than 5,000 people. Tunisia ranks 5th in the world in terms of area cultivated prickly pear for commercial purposes, with over 117,000 hectares behind Brazil, Mexico, Ethiopia and Morocco. In the North African country, nearly 8,000 litres were exported in 2021 for a turnover over $5 million.
Our production capacity for the fruit is currently 20,000 tons per year. We cannot transform all the fruit into oil since the oil is not well known to sell all the oil produced. So we process onto one hand and we sell the other mouth-watering fruit on the other.
The dynamism of the sector is such that the country has gone from 5 processing companies in the early 2000s to 55 in 2021, including 11 in the region of Zelfen, organized into cooperatives. The prickly pear has the added advantage of not fearing the arid soil for a country where water is becoming rarer, as in the entire region.
C'est vraiment la plante miracle.
It is really a wonder plant. In addition to the agronomic qualities which allow this plant to adapt and produce in difficult conditions, there is also the potential for industrial processing. So it really is a wonder plant. And this is what attracts investors to set up businesses in difficult areas in order to produce finished products that foreign markets demand.
Prickly pear sector in Tunisia is currently recognized by the authorities and operators at national level as being a real source of socio-economic growth in Tunisia, with a total area of 600,000 hectares. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
The World Health Organization estimates that about 15.3% of the world's blind population resides in Africa, where they often lack the resources and support needed to succeed in school and everyday life. And now a Nigerian startup called Vinsight is using technology to assist the visually impaired with several products including smart reading glasses that convert text to audio. Here's a report from Lagos.
Mishak Odion is on his way to an ICT class in his school library. But today, the technology on show is an app that can help him read. Blind since birth, the 17-year-old attends a school for visually impaired children in Nigeria's megacity, Lagos. The aspiring musician has worried about what the world would hold for him with Braille as his only means of reading.
Actually, I would prefer this app because there are many things that I would see outside there. And maybe it will not be in Braille, it may be in sighted, so this app will help me to recognize it.
Odion's renewed hope is thanks to a Nigerian startup called Vinsight. Its team has developed several products, including a mobile app that translates text to audio. That software, CEO Kolowole Tomi explains, is now being remodeled into a hardware eyeglass.
The hardware glasses, is pretty much leveraging the same technology as the software, but at an optimized level. And what this glasses pretty much does is that it helps those who are visually impaired to be able to read, one, identify objects, scenes and colors around them, also identify currency, and also over time, the glass is going to be able to help improve visual acuity.
Kolowole says he became curious about how tech could help the visually impaired after an acquaintance at university told him about a friend who had been forced to drop out of school. A little over 15% of the world's blind population resides in Africa, according to the World Health Organization. Vinsight says its products are used in schools and institutions and estimates it has reached about 5,000 people.
Ivory Coast recently conducted a festival celebrating the culture of the West, a people of West Africa known for wearing traditional masks. Boyigo, the name of the event, is hoped to boost tourism in the region. Here's a report from Giglo.
It's the sound of celebration. It reverberates here in Jiglo, Ivory Coast. The event celebrates the culture of West, people living across Western Ivory Coast and neighboring Liberia. West speak their own language and include numerous subgroups like Bete, Nyabwa and Gere. They are believed to have been living in the region since the 13th century. West are known for wearing traditional masks called glaze.
The Glaze are a secret society. They are spirits. They are our cultural values. And when we do events, they have to come out. Their outings make it a craze in everything we do. And after them, it's joy and prosperity in the families. That's why we love the Glaze very much.
Boyego is a way to showcase the traditions, crafts and culture, promote peace and tourism according to the organizers. And the Minister of Civil Service attested to that and even championed the culture that Ivorians have to offer.
What a beautiful day! Yes, Boyego. It's the festival of happiness and Kevali is rising from its ashes. Kevali is shining today and in Kevali life is simply good.
We have noticed that the state of our culture is disappearing, meaning that we are in the process of losing certain things. And what do we have to do to preserve them? We have to consolidate what you see today, and that will allow us to keep the cultural identity of our people. That is the main objective of the organization of this festival.
Ivory Coast has been split between a rebel-held north and a government-controlled south since civil war broke out in 2002. An area known as the Confidence Zone existed at the border of the two sides until September. And despite the name, the area, which was heavily patrolled by the UN, has seen some of the most violent activities in the country. They are hoping to use the festival to foster unity among communities along the border regions.
Je pense que c'est une très très belle culture. Moi-même, je suis
I think it's a very beautiful culture. I myself am from the religion. I think it is interesting to meet very often so that we can get back into our habits and customs. I take my hat off to the organizers so that this festival can be perpetuated.
Organizers want as many people to participate in the festival as possible. They say this is the best way to ensure one of the Ivory Coast's most unique traditions carries on into the future. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
And that's our time on this week's episode of World of Africa. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate your feedback. Find us on all our social media platforms and talk to us. My name is Erik Njoka. Goodbye.